There's no better way to enjoy nature than living on a ravine lot. But too often this kind of property ends up just being a view out the window. Dead space. As you can see, this is not the case with this ravine lot. Phil Sherrill of All Weather Landscape has dramatically transformed this property into a very functional, yet still naturalized backyard. And Phil, there is quite a difference looking out here. What did the property look like when you first came in?
Deborah, this whole backyard area was very densely covered with native trees, shrubs, and ground cover. We had a 16-foot grade difference from this top level to the bottom level. Very beautiful space, but unfortunately non-functional and just unusable for outdoor living.
It would have been easy to come in and just bulldoze everything down, but you had to be very careful. How did you know what to keep in and what to take out?
Basically, Deborah, the whole concept and design criteria behind this was to maintain the same basic grades and natural environment, keep all the trees, or as many trees as possible, thereby removing as few trees as possible and trimming the existing ones to let sunlight in for the new planting areas. A roadway had to be kind of strategically built to allow access into this area, which is very difficult to get to, so that we could use the equipment to move the rocks and create the retaining walls in the general landscape.
One of the first things that jumps out at you when you look at this backyard are these wonderful rocks, and there are lots of them. Were they here when you first came?
Deborah, there was no stone here at all. We have at least 1,000 ton of what I'll term or classify as weathered limestone from a Northern Ontario quarry. We needed that amount of tonnage, as incredible as that may seem, just to retain this 16-foot grade difference that I was talking about earlier.
And I like the way the rocks have followed the pathway down in a very random way. It looks totally natural.
The whole idea here was to create a nice meandering walk, to give you a feeling of walking through a woodland type of walk.
Almost as if the boulders have just fallen down.
Absolutely, and that was the whole idea of the rock placements, were to make it as natural looking as possible, and that's really the whole design criteria behind the placements of the rock, is to create that exactly.
You've got the same thing over here. They look very natural the way they're placed, and you've got this very cute little waterfall. Tell us about that.
Deborah, we've continued the woodland natural look using the same limestone boulders and using the granite pebbles to form the collecting area and the river flow.
Now, is there a reason for that, or is that just for aesthetic purposes?
We wanted to cover the liner and the structural part of the construction work, and we've achieved that by use of the granite pebbles.
I think this stone is wonderful. Did you have to cut it that way?
It's a lovely piece. It came exactly like that at the quarry. It was perfect with the little grooves so the water can nicely cascade over and create a waterfall effect.
And it's pretty the way you've got the tree coming out the back.
We've continued that with the cut-leaf Japanese maple, which is a very ornamental structural type of formation, and it'll help naturalize this area.
It will actually grow right over the rocks?
It will grow over the rock, but we would probably keep it trimmed off the actual waterfall area.
And it has such a nice, peaceful feel to it. To hear the water in that, it's so soothing. The water continues on down and into a spectacular waterfall.
The waterfall really is the focal point of the whole project. It could have been located anywhere really in this backyard area, but we chose to put it where it is because it plays on the natural lay of the land. It also creates a nicer sound, a very woodland effect.
It flows into this very lovely large pond, but I noticed there are no fish in that pond. Why is that?
Intentionally, this was meant to be a woodland pond, thereby not having any koi or fish in it at all. So that was intentionally done. We have sphagnum moss all the way around the outer perimeter to create that woodland look, as well as shade-tolerant lilies, different types of ornamental grasses throughout that whole pond area.
There are so many beautiful plants in this yard, and I'm wondering, I would think that some of these were here already.
Actually, none of them were. The only original plant material that's here would be the trees. It was, again, very heavily forested. We had native Norway and silver maple, oak, different types of elm, and we kept a lot of those trees. But we have a weeping katsura, serviceberry, red bud, arrowwood.
A little more exotic than what you'd traditionally find in this kind of area.
But again, keeping it with all native plant material. That way we're going to attract birds and butterflies and different types of animals that would normally be attracted to a forest area.
Now this was a space then that would never have been used. They would have never come down here. What do they use it for now?
The owners love to come down here and just sit and read. And they have told me that they really enjoy doing that because you can walk right down from the patio, as you can see, into this sitting area, and it's like being out in the middle of the wilderness, so it's quite nice.
The fence is another nice tie into the backyard. Is it cedar?
It's a cedar rail. Again, it was chosen to continue that natural look. We had thought at one point of creating the outer perimeter fencing in a wrought iron or some type of tubular steel of some sort. But I think looking, it just wouldn't have worked, and as a result we chose the cedar rail for security purposes, and because of the depth of the pond and whatnot, we have to fence in the outer perimeter, and that material was chosen.
And of course, if they want to entertain, they can go upstairs. You've got a couple of lovely patios up there.
This was another area that didn't exist prior to the landscape construction work.
There was nothing up here, no place to barbecue?
There were a few patio slabs adjacent to the sliding doors over in this area. There was a bit of a lawn area, but we've extended this over about 12 feet at least, maybe 15, to create a much larger living space.
I like the way you've put in this flagstone. Tell me about that.
It's a lovely stone. It's a random limestone from the Wyerton Sound area that we've placed in on a granular base and used it again to continue that woodland natural look for a patio.
And again, instead of putting it straight along, you've curved it.
Kept it curved, very random looking, again, just to keep that natural feeling to this whole area.
The other deck around the corner, is that similar?
We use a similar material. It's about the same size, a slightly different configuration, but essentially it's a continuation of this patio area.
And the views are so wonderful from both these patios. I can really see how the owners would enjoy this property so much more now that you've made these changes. Thanks so much, Phil, for being with us.
Thank you very much.
If you'd like to increase the usability of your ravine lot, but keep that naturalness, try these things. Preserve as many trees as possible and add in lots of native plant material. Build ponds, patios, and walkways that work with the natural terrain. Create a waterfall that incorporates natural materials like stone and wood.